She'd been gaining weight, nesting in the corners, and even acting protective. I was convinced my daughter's guinea pig was about to become a mom. But the moment the vet looked at the ultrasound, her smile disappeared. "This isn't what we expected," she said. Then she showed me the screen, and my stomach dropped. Stepping into the vet's office, I wrinkled my nose at the peculiar mix of antiseptic and something earthy. Daisy, our plump little guinea pig, fidgeted in her carrier. I tried to act calm, but my knees felt wobbly. Emma was counting on me to figure out what was wrong with Daisy. My mind raced with possibilities, hoping that all was well, but who could be sure until the vet had a look? Emma clung to my hand like a lifeline, her eyes glued to the examining room door. Each time footsteps passed, she tensed a little more. "Do you think Daisy will be okay, Mom?" she whispered. I squeezed back gently, trying to convey reassurance. "Of course, honey. We'll know soon. Let's just wait for Dr. Mason, all right?" She nodded, but the crease in her forehead said she wasn't convinced. The vet, Dr. Mason, walked in with a warm smile, clipboard in hand. "So, I hear Daisy's been putting on a bit of weight," she said, settling on a stool. Emma leaned forward eagerly. "Yeah, she's always in the corner, and sometimes she makes these weird noises like she's trying to talk to us," Emma blurted. Dr. Mason jotted down notes, eyes kind and attentive. "Well, let's see what's going on with her, shall we?" Emma tried her best, words tumbling out as she described Daisy's recent habits. "She's been so moody, like she's guarding something. And she sometimes just digs around and moves her bedding to this perfect little circle," Emma said, her expression a mix of excitement and worry. Dr. Mason nodded, glancing up between notes. Her earnest focus on Emma's words made me feel hopeful. Maybe we would get to the bottom of this, Doctor. Mason tapped her pen thoughtfully against her clipboard before suggesting, "Why don't we go ahead and do an ultrasound, just to see what's happening in there?" Emma's eyes widened. "You mean like those belly pictures of babies?" she asked. Dr. Mason chuckled. "Exactly, but for Daisy. This will help us see what might be causing her changes. It's quick and won't hurt her at all." This bit of science seemed to ease Emma. We held Daisy together, while Dr. Mason fiddled with the machine. Emma watched with rapt attention as blobs of gel were smeared on Daisy's round belly. "It tickles her, look," Emma giggled softly, seeing Daisy's nose twitch. Dr. Mason smiled warmly at Emma's amusement as she adjusted the transducer, moving it gently over Daisy. The air thickened with anticipation. We were doing this, finding out what Daisy had been hiding inside. The ultrasound machine whirred softly, sending tiny shivers through Daisy's pudgy body. "She's being so good," Emma whispered, almost to herself. I nodded, smiling at the sight of Daisy's small squirms. Nervous laughter bubbled up from us both, slowing when Dr. Mason narrowed her eyes at the screen. Her quiet caught our attention, pulling us back into suspense. My heartbeat quickened as I glanced over at her focused expression. Dr. Mason's brow furrowed as she leaned closer to the screen. Silence wrapped around us tight, broken only by the gentle hum of the machine. "Do you see something?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "Yes, but it's unusual," she replied, her eyes never leaving the screen. Emma and I exchanged a worried glance. Time seemed to slow, every second stretching as we waited for more. What could it possibly be? Without a word, Dr. Mason switched off the machine and faced us. Her serious expression deepened the sudden quiet. "I'm going to need to take a closer look with another scan," she explained, choosing her words carefully. "It's important we know exactly what's inside before we go any further." Emma's hand clutched mine a little tighter. I nodded, trying to hide my growing unease. Whatever it was, I hoped it wasn't too serious. Emma tugged on my sleeve, her eyes wide and searching. "Do you think Daisy's going to be okay?" she asked in a trembling whisper. I could feel her fear and tried to smile reassuringly. "Doctor Mason will take good care of her, sweetie. She knows what she's doing," I promised, hoping to ease her mind. Emma nodded slightly, yet the worried creases on her forehead remained like faint traces of a passing cloud. I wrapped an arm around Emma, giving her a gentle squeeze. "Dr. Mason's going to look after Daisy, don't you worry," I said softly. Emma took a deep breath, resting her head against my shoulder. "I just hope she's not sick or anything," she murmured. "I know, me too." Just remember Daisy's in good hands, I replied, trying to sound more confident than I felt. I wanted my calmness to become her confidence. Dr. Mason gently placed Daisy on the table. I think we should try another test just to be extra cautious, she suggested, looking at us with concern. Emma and I exchanged glances, her tiny nod showing a kind of bravery that made me proud. Whatever you think is best, I agreed. Dr. Mason's care was obvious, and I trusted her to guide us through whatever was next for our little furball. In the maroon waiting room, the clock seemed to tick louder with each passing moment. Emma and I exchanged nervous smiles that didn't quite reach our eyes. Feels like forever, doesn't it? I said, trying to lighten the mood. Emma nodded, swinging her legs restlessly under the chair. I just want to know already, she admitted. We sat in the stillness, our patience stretched as the minutes crawled by, hoping for news soon. Doctor? Mason walked back in, shaking her head slightly, her steps quicker than before. Her face looked more serious now, and my heart skipped a beat. Emma shuffled closer, sensing the change too. Let's head back in, Dr. Mason said with a hint of urgency. We followed quietly, trying to brace ourselves for whatever she had discovered. I quickly squeezed Emma's hand, a silent promise that we were in this together. We stepped into the room where Daisy lay in her tiny enclosure, looking ever so peaceful. Emma and I tried to mask our unease with brave faces, hoping our courage would calm Daisy too. She's such a good girl, Emma whispered, forcing a small smile. I nodded, rubbing her shoulder gently. Dr. Mason's serious look made us sit a little straighter, focusing on her as we prepared to hear the unexpected. Dr. Mason cleared her throat, her expression one of deep concentration. I saw something during the scan, something I can't quite identify, she confessed, looking at both of us. Something unexpected inside Daisy, she added carefully. Emma frowned, her shoulders tensing. Like what? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. My curiosity grew with Emma's, both of us hoping for more clarity on what was happening with our dear little pet. Unidentified objects? I asked, furrowing my brow as I tried to process her words. What does that mean exactly? Dr. Mason shrugged slightly, her eyes scanning the floor. It could be anything, really. We'll need a clearer scan to figure it out, she explained. Emma's eyes were wide with worry, trying to piece together the puzzle. My mind raced with possibilities, none of which made sense yet. We had to find out more. Emma glanced up at me, her eyes a flurry of questions and concern. What do you think it is, Mom? Her mind seemed to be racing, leaping to every conclusion she could imagine. I don't know, sweetheart, I admitted, brushing her hair gently. But no matter what, we'll find out and handle it, okay? Emma nodded, holding on to my words like a lifeline. We were both searching for answers in the silence. Dr. Mason suggested we get a CT scan to get a closer look. Emma nodded bravely, her small voice firm. Okay, let's do it. We have to know, she said. I admired her courage, squeezing her hand supportively. We'll see what the scan reveals, Dr. Mason assured, already preparing for the next step. Together, we were navigating this unexpected journey, all of us eager to learn what was truly going on with our dear Daisy. We stayed close to Daisy, the gentle hum of equipment mixing with distant bark and meows. It was strange half of me found comfort in the familiar sounds, while the other half felt an edge of worry creeping in. I leaned over to Emma, who was watching Daisy intently. She's a strong girl, huh? I said softly. Emma nodded, not taking her eyes off our furry friend, whispering, yeah, she really is. As the scan started, the room dimmed slightly, and images began to flicker on the screen. Emma and I leaned in, trying to decipher the black and white blobs. Does it look okay? Emma asked, bouncing slightly on her toes. I shrugged, wishing I knew more. The wavering shapes cast shadows on our hopes as we glued our eyes to that little screen, wishing for good news for Daisy. Dr. Mason tilted her head, puzzled by the images. Emma and I watched as she squinted at the screen, her fingers tapping rhythmically on the keyboard. What is it, Dr. Mason? I asked, my voice a little shakier than I intended. She didn't answer immediately, lost in concentration. Emma's brow furrowed, sharing my unease. We both watched, holding our breath, waiting for the vet to translate the pixels into words. Emma launched into a barrage of questions, each more intricate than the last. Could it be she ate something funny? Or maybe she has, like, a twin? Her imagination spiraled, weaving tales that even I struggled to keep up with. I chuckled lightly, trying to keep her grounded. "Let's wait for Dr. Mason to tell us, okay?" I suggested. Emma nodded, albeit reluctantly, curiosity still dancing in her eyes. Dr. Mason glanced over with a reassuring smile. "Give me a moment, and I'll explain everything once I know for sure," she promised. Emma bounced from foot to foot, her patience teetering on a small edge. In the silence, I squeezed her hand lightly, an unspoken promise that answers were on the way. "Okay," Emma said softly, watching as the vet turned back to the screen, her focus unwavering. Emma's stomach growled, reminding me she hadn't eaten yet. "Want to grab dinner?" I suggested, though I already knew her answer. Emma shook her head, her gaze fixed on Daisy. "I'm not leaving her, Mom," she said firmly. I nodded, understanding her determination. We settled back in, postponing dinner and holding on to our furry friend, united in this moment of waiting and wondering what the vet might reveal. In the waiting room, we watched a parade of pets come and go, each with their own story. "Mom, look at that kitty," Emma pointed at a fluffy cat cradled in its owner's arms. I chuckled, thinking how each visit held similar hopes and worries. We shared whispered guesses about why other pets were there, my mind weaving tales as Emma animatedly chatted, temporarily distracting us from our own concerns. Emma imagined Daisy's portrait hanging on the wall among the other pet pictures. "She could be right there, smiling like sunshine," she mused, using her fingers to frame an imaginary photo. Her face lit up at the thought, bringing a momentary brightness to the room. I nodded, playing along. "Our little superstar, huh?" Emma grinned, nodding enthusiastically. Our worry took a back seat, even just for a fleeting moment. A group of kids burst in, trailing behind a bouncy puppy that had Emma giggling in an instant. "Look at him, he's so cute," Emma whispered, her worries momentarily forgotten. The children's laughter filled the air, drawing smiles from everyone in the room. Emma joined in their excitement, each wag of the puppy's tail inviting shared joy. "He'd make a great playmate for Daisy," I said, nudging Emma as she agreed, eyes twinkling. I nudged Emma towards the vending machine, knowing her favorite snacks could provide comfort. "How about some crackers and juice?" I offered, trying to distract her for a moment. Emma hesitated, eyes flicking back to Daisy. "Okay, but just a little," she conceded. We returned with a rustle of wrappers, Emma's soft giggles mixing with crunches as she munched. It was a small moment of normalcy, easing the grip of tension for us both. Minutes stretched. Each tick of the clock felt like a hammer in our silent corner. Emma squirmed restlessly in her seat, glancing up at me every few seconds. "Mom, why is it taking so long?" she grumbled. I shrugged slightly, trying to mask my own impatience. "Patience, kiddo," I replied. We exchanged small, reassuring smiles, both of us silently hoping for the vet to return with news about Daisy. Finally, Dr. Mason popped her head into the waiting area, her expression noticeably softer. "Ready to come back in?" she asked warmly. Emma and I exchanged hopeful glances and stood up eagerly. "Do you have news about Daisy?" Emma asked, her voice a mix of anxiety and excitement. The vet smiled gently, nodding towards her office. "Let's discuss what I found," she said, leading us back through the familiar hallway. We sat across from Dr. Mason as she started explaining what she saw. Words like abnormal mass and vascular structure swirled around us, bending my concentration. Emma's eyes were wide as she absorbed as much as she could, trying to follow along. "Can you say that in English, please?" I teased lightly, giving the vet a small smile. Dr. Mason chuckled, softening the atmosphere as she attempted to simplify her medical jargon. Emma leaned in, her little mind processing the big words Dr. Mason used. "So, what's wrong with Daisy?" she probed, genuinely curious. Dr. Mason paused, acknowledging Emma's effort to understand. "That's what we're trying to figure out, sweetheart. But we're getting closer," she assured, aware of Emma's eagerness. Emma sat back, eyes still glued to Dr. Mason. Her dedication to Daisy's well-being was clear, an impressive focus for a 10-year-old. Watching Emma pay such close attention, I knew I needed her to stay calm while the vet spoke. "If you let Dr. Mason finish without interrupting, I'll get you the biggest ice cream cone with sprinkles," I whispered encouragingly. Emma's eyes lit up, the promise of sweet treats quelling her urge to speak out. "Okay, deal," she whispered back, settling into her chair. We needed all the focus we could muster right now. It dawned on me that the situation was more serious than I first assumed. Dr. Mason's careful words held weight, an importance I hadn't initially grasped. "You know," I said quietly, "this is sounding a bit more complicated than I thought." Emma nodded in agreement, echoing the same realization in her eyes. We exchanged a mutual look of concern, aware of the growing seriousness. Our attention returned to Dr. Mason, relying on her expertise. Dr. Mason hesitated, choosing her words carefully. "There's something unusual inside Daisy. Something hard," she said, a touch of concern lacing her voice. My heart did a little flip, the ambiguity of something hard echoing ominously in my mind. Emma turned to me, confusion mingling with worry in her eyes. "What does she mean, Mom?" Emma whispered. I squeezed her hand, promising silently that we'd figure it out, no matter what it was. "Mom, what's inside Daisy?" Emma's voice trembled slightly, signaling her growing unease. Her usual curiosity was overshadowed by genuine concern for her pet. I gathered my thoughts quickly. "Well, that's what Dr. Mason is helping us find out, honey," I replied softly. Emma took a deep breath, trying to mask her worry. Our focus turned back to Dr. Mason, clinging to each word she said, hoping they would lead us to answers. Dr. Mason cleared her throat, a reassuring calm in her tone as she explained. "We need to understand exactly what's inside, and there are a few ways we can do that," she said steadily. Her words were like a gentle balm, momentarily easing our growing panic. Emma and I exchanged a look of relief, feeling slightly comforted by her calm demeanor. "We're in good hands," I whispered to Emma, who nodded, still holding on to hope. Back home, Emma traced her fingers along Daisy's empty cage, careful not to disturb the shavings and scattered toys inside. "It feels weird without her here," she murmured, not quite meeting my eyes. "I know, sweetie," I said softly, rubbing her back. "But we'll do everything we can to help Daisy," I promised. Emma sighed, nodding absently, her thoughts still lingering on her beloved pet. The mystery was still unsolved, but we weren't giving up. As I sat with Emma, it hit me just how important Daisy was to us. It's funny how a little furry creature could become so central to our lives. Emma kept talking about her, little things Daisy did that made us laugh. Life without Daisy felt odd, and my heart ached. It made me realize that Daisy wasn't just a pet. She was a huge part of our family. Back at the vet, Dr. Mason was careful with her words. "There's something unusual in Daisy's scan," she said, her voice a mix of concern and curiosity. Emma and I exchanged puzzled looks, not sure what to make of it. It wasn't what we expected, that's for sure. Her words were like pieces of a puzzle, and we couldn't help but try to fit them together, even as our confusion grew. Dr. Mason continued, knitting her eyebrows slightly. "What we found is, well, it's not typical," she explained, pointing at the vague shapes on the screen. We leaned in closer, our minds trying to grasp what she was showing us. Whatever it was, it nestled in a spot where we'd imagined something else. Something like a baby guinea pig. A mystery, all right, one we had yet to solve. And it felt bigger with every word. Emma's reaction shifted from confusion to pure surprise. Her lips parted slightly as she looked between me and Dr. Mason. "What do you mean, not a baby?" she asked, her curiosity evident. "Doctor." Mason nodded thoughtfully. "It's definitely something we need to investigate further," she replied. Emma's eyes were wide, her face a canvas of emotions, each fleeting expression painting a picture of her processing this new, strange information about Daisy. I couldn't wrap my head around it. How could there be something like that inside Daisy? I found myself asking, my voice echoing the question in my mind. Emma looked up at me, her eyes filled with a mix of worry and fascination. We both looked at Dr. Mason, leaning on her expertise to unravel this bizarre mystery. The idea left us spinning. responses bubbling as fast as the questions formed. "Dr. Mason thoughtfully suggested, maybe think about what she might have gotten into recently." Her idea made sense, though it sent my mind whirling back through the days. Daisy could be quite a scavenger, but what would she have found? Emma perked up, almost as if she had a list already growing in her head. Dr. Mason's suggestion felt like a lifeline, urging us to piece together the oddities in Daisy's recent habits. As we drove back home, Emma started listing things she'd left or seen near Daisy's large, well-loved cage. "I did leave my colored pencils there once. Oh, and those snacks you told me to put away," she mused aloud, her mind bouncing from one thought to another. Her words were fast, almost shrinking the space between each idea. Daisy's curious nature, Emma knew, had her exploring all sorts of stuff in their little space. Emma's fingers drummed on the car window gently, a rhythmic pattern reflecting her thoughts. I glanced over, seeing the restlessness in her gaze as she looked out at the passing scenery. "Got a lot on your mind, huh?" I asked. She nodded slightly, her attention still half lost in pondering the mystery that hovered over us, like the clouds drifting overhead. "Just wondering what Daisy's been up to," she admitted, half smiling. Her little voice trembled slightly. "I bet Daisy's just embarrassed, you know," she said, trying to lighten the mood with a shaky smile. "I hope it's nothing bad." Her fingers played with the strap of her seatbelt, the smallest details not escaping her restless thoughts. I could see her hope and concern, like two siblings hugging closely in her heart, as she kept imagining all sorts of playful scenarios for Daisy's supposed mischief. I gave Emma a reassuring smile, my own thoughts drowned in wonder and worry. "Daisy will be okay, I promise," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. But my mind questioned if our own simple carelessness had led to something like a heavy mystery swirling around us. I was determined, though, pushing those thoughts aside. With Daisy to care for and Emma's curious heart, we would solve it together, no matter what. As we parked at home, I noticed that each of us was carrying our worries like backpacks, each step feeling heavier. Emma lingered slightly behind, her eyes occasionally darting towards Daisy's empty carrier. "Do you think she'll be okay, Mom?" she asked. I forced a confident smile. "Of course, sweetie, we'll figure it all out soon." We walked inside, hoping the answers we needed were on their way to us. The afternoon stretched quietly, with Emma sitting at the kitchen table, drawing little sketches in her sketchbook. Each picture featured Daisy, her tiny paws scampering after invisible dreams. I watched from a distance, admiring her focus and wondering what thoughts occupied her young mind. "You're really capturing Daisy's spirit there," I said softly. Emma smiled, but her concern for Daisy seemed to run in every pencil stroke. Emma beckoned me over with a flick of her wrist, revealing pages of Daisy chasing after a whirlwind of magnetic chaos. "Look, Mom, it's like Daisy's going on adventures with all my toys," she giggled, pointing to a sketch of Daisy skirting around small toy magnets. "You really think she's up to that, huh?" I smiled, engaging with her playful ideas, yet noting the curious connection in her drawings. As we flipped through her sketches, her love for Daisy was clear as day. Each drawing radiated warmth and care. "You love her a lot, don't you?" I asked, resting a hand on her shoulder. Emma nodded, her eyes softening as she looked back at her art. "She's my little buddy," Emma replied. Her love for Daisy was as comforting as a warm blanket on a chilly day. I ruffled Emma's hair gently, grateful for these moments of playful distraction. Despite the looming uncertainty, her giggles were infectious. "Thanks for always cheering me up, kiddo," I said with a wink. Emma shrugged with a small smile, twirling her pencil. "I just want Daisy to be here making us laugh too," she replied. I nodded, knowing we both missed her presence around the house. Later that evening, Emma and I huddled on the couch, sharing silly stories about Daisy's little antics. She had us both in fits of laughter, mimicking Daisy's exaggerated adventures. "Remember when she tried climbing up my alarm clock?" Emma recounted with sparkling eyes. "She must have thought it was a mountain," I teased, joining in the laughter. It felt good to laugh and remember the happy times. We spent some time tending to Daisy's cage, making sure everything was ready for her return. Emma stood nearby, watching as I refreshed Daisy's water and hay. "Do you think she'll notice the new hay?" Emma asked, a note of hope in her voice. "Oh, definitely. She's got a keen nose, I assured, smiling at Emma's attentiveness to her furry friend's comfort and needs. Emma suddenly had an idea. Mom, we should look at everything around her cage. Something there could be causing this, she suggested with determination. Her reasoning surprised me, but it wasn't a bad idea. That's not a bad thought. Let's check it out together, I agreed. We started going over the small objects nearby, each hoping to uncover what might be connected to Daisy's condition. Her innocence and insight caught me off guard, piecing together days spent with Daisy by her side. Remember when I left that bracelet next to her cage? Emma suddenly asked. Her words triggered my own memories. She had an impressive knack for recalling those little moments that could easily slip away. She was showing just how much she cared for Daisy in these little details. How about starting with all those toys scattered in your room, Em? I suggested, thinking methodically. Okay, I'll gather them all up, she replied, already moving towards her room with determination. Her eagerness was heartening. We might just find a clue amidst the colorful chaos. Daisy's favorite trinkets littered the floor like breadcrumbs waiting to be collected, possibly holding vital information about our chubby little mystery. As soon as we got home, we started our little mission, spreading out everything we could find around Daisy's cage. Let's check all her little toys and stuff, I suggested, trying to sound like a detective on the case. Emma's eyes lit up with determination. Together, we covered the floor with items Daisy might have found interesting, making sure nothing was left unturned. It felt like a treasure hunt, but we were hunting for answers. Amid the jumble of objects, Emma's hands paused on something familiar, her toy magnetic set. Hey, I've been looking for this, she exclaimed, the small pieces clicking like gentle whispers as she held them. The colorful magnets seemed to apologize for hiding away all this time. Emma turned them over in her hands thoughtfully, a flicker of understanding beginning to dawn in her eyes. I wonder, she trailed off, pondering what this could mean. Emma's face lit up with a flash of realization. Mom, remember how I said Daisy was acting different? She asked eagerly, her voice climbing with excitement. I watched as her thoughts began to piece together like building blocks, matching Daisy's puzzling behavior with her own forgotten toy. Could Daisy have taken something she shouldn't have? She wondered aloud, her mind racing to solve the mystery that had seemed so baffling just moments ago. Emma's excitement was contagious as she explained, Mom, this toy. I think Daisy might have gotten into my magnetic set. She bounded over to me, a mix of pride and concern on her face. It was as if she'd found a hidden treasure. Her investigative spirit shone brightly, ready to share her discovery with Dr. Mason. We have to show the vet, she insisted, clutching the magnetic pieces like they held all the answers. As Emma talked about her toy, a memory tugged at my mind. Remember all those times I said to be careful with your toys? I asked, a hint of gentleness in my voice rather than blame. Emma nodded sheepishly, the realization dawning on both of us that maybe, just maybe, one of those missed moments had led us here. We spent the next few minutes silently agreeing to be more cautious in the future. Together, we gathered the rest of the pieces, checking their odd shapes and colorful surfaces. This one's missing a few, right? I pointed out, my finger tracing the empty spots in the set. Emma nodded, quietly confirming what we both hoped wasn't true. The potential culprit was now clear, its absence shaping our current puzzle. The missing piece of the magnetic toy might just be the key to solving Daisy's mysterious condition. Later, back at the vet's office, we shared our findings with Dr. Mason. We have something to tell you, I started, trying to match Emma's eagerness. Dr. Mason listened intently, her serious face attentive as we presented the missing piece's possible involvement. Daisy's been playing detective, it seems, I joked lightly, hoping our hunch could lead to a happy ending. Sharing the discovery felt like shedding light on the problem. Emma stepped forward, carefully handing over the lone magnetic piece. This is the one that's missing. We think Daisy found it, she explained, her voice carrying both confidence and a hint of innocent charm. Dr. Mason took the piece, a smile tugging at her lips in understanding. You've done well, Emma, she praised, clearly impressed by the young detective's contribution. Emma's small grin reflected her pride in helping solve the mystery. Watching Dr. Mason's reaction, my tension slowly eased. This explains quite a bit, she said, relief lacing her voice at last. I could see the worry lift from her shoulders. understanding how the magnetic piece fit into the larger picture. Emma and I shared a small smile, feeling hopeful that our clues were leading to answers, not just more questions. Dr. Mason's calm reassured us that our little Daisy would soon be on the mend. As Dr. Mason assured us Daisy would be fine, Emma let out a delighted laugh, filling the small room with her joy. "Daisy's going to come home and we'll have her laughing with us again," Emma exclaimed. Her laughter lightened the mood, melting away the tiredness that had hung over us like a shadow. In that simple moment, our worries faded, and all was well. The mystery solved, and our furry friend safe.